Alright, last video. Let's get through the last 4 classes. I've calmed down a little bit. Paladin is not angering me as much as it was. So, let's get into Rogue. Rogue, they got like a little bit of Death Rattle synergy. I'm not going to ignore that. Let's look at the key card that they have here, Concoctions. So, I'm just going to go over the concoctions here. So, there's 5 concoctions. Slimy Concoction, which is summon a random 3-drop minion, which is, Dreadful Concoction, destroy a random enemy minion, deadly shot. Bubbling Concoction, deal 3 damage, that's Hazy Concoction. Add a card to your hand from another class, it costs 3 less. I mean, that's pretty decent. And then finally, Gleaming Concoction, draw 2 cards, that's an Arcane Intellect. So, you put those together, where's that going to be? That's going to be basically, on average, a 2-star card. But, add another concoction to your hand to mix it together, if you can see it in there. So, what does this mean? This means if you get 2 concoctions, you get both of the effects for 3 mana. So, summon a random 3-cost minion, deal 3 damage. That's Serpent Shrine Portal from Shaman, which was like one of the most busted cards that there was. Like, that's like a top tier card without the overload. I mean, that's the level of power you're going to have here. Like, you get a 3/3, you get a random 3-drop that destroys an enemy minion. You can draw 3 cards out of it. You can deal damage and draw cards. You can, so pretty much like the concoctions. The more concoctions you get, the better. So the concoctions, like, I'm rating them kind of like on their individual value. But if you get a concoction early, you pretty much take every single concoction card. And they're all pretty good on themselves, because they're all cards that do basically the same thing. They develop something, or like the major concoction cards develop something and give you something back. So they're all pretty good. So let's go. First card is Rotten Rodent. 2 mana, 2/1, battle cry, reduce the cost of all Death Rattle cards in your deck by 1. Okay, you are going to have Death Rattle cards. This is not worth it. Remember, again, this is deck, not your hand. So, like, you just can't, you can't say hand as well. Like, no, this is a 1-star card. This is a 1-star card. This is a borderline, don't pick it. It's just like, I'd rather dagger than play this. It takes too long for the effect to pay out. Alright, second one here, Concoctor. Okay. Add a random concoction to your hand. So again, we know, like, the effect here, 1 mana, 1/2, put something in your hands. Probably going to be like about a high 3-star card. But again, because the concoctions get better, the more of them you get, that I have to go a little bit higher on this, and I think the Concoctor is a solid 4-star card. Just because the the compounding synergy. This is literally a card where if you took 30 of them, you would beat pretty much any deck in Constructed or Arena. Okay, Ghostly Strike. Deal 1 damage, combo, draw a card. It's a 1 mana cycle. I mean, that's really good. It's also a ping. That's really good. This is a low 3-star card. This is a high 4-star card. I'll say 4 stars here. Not much needs to be said on it. Noxious Infiltrator. Poisonous. Battlecry, if a friendly undead died after your last turn, deal 1 damage to the minion. 4 mana, 2/5. Really good for poison. Like, that's really good, and the poisonous basically means you can trade it off, and it's fine for the stat value. Also, if an undead minion died, you can play this, and you can ping something, and you get a 4 mana Vile Spine. I mean, really, that's a really good card. Like, even if you don't get the, like, again, I'm factoring in that sometimes you do get the Vile Spine effect, but even without this, I think this is an easy 4-star card here for this. Alright, Potion Belt. So, you discover 2 concoctions. Remember, if you discover 2 concoctions, you get to combine both effects. And so, also remember that 2 effects here, Hazy Concoction and Gleaming Concoction, both basically function the same way, where you get to draw a card. Dreadful Concoction and Bubbling Concoction basically function the same way as hard removal. And then Slimy Concoction is development. So, you pay 2 mana, and you get to develop a combination of cards. So, you're basically getting 6 mana out of a 5 mana total worth of value probably should be worth 7 mana. I mean, this is just a really great card. Again, concoctions work with themselves. You're going to like concoctions. So this, ultimately, I'm going to say it's a high 4-star. It doesn't reach the level of 5. It possibly could perform at a 5-star level. See here, 4 stars. All right. Next one, Ghoulish Alchemist. Battlecry, your next concoction costs 0. By the way, here are all the variants on the mixed concoctions. So, like, here's summon 2 random 3-cost minions. So, we've had this card before. We've had it like a Magister's Apprentice. So, Anonymous Informant, except for concoctions. Anonymous Informant was around this level. This is around this level. It's like a borderline high 2, low 3-star card. All right. Next one is Scourge Illusionist. Not you. You. 4 mana 4/4 Death Rattle. Add a 4/4 copy of another Death Rattle minion in your deck to your hand. It costs 4 less. So, add a 4/4 copy of another Death Rattle minion in your hand to your deck. It costs 4 less. What this means is if you get a 1 mana Death Rattle minion, you basically get a 0 mana 4/4. Or 2 mana, or 3 mana, or 4 mana Death Rattle minion. It gets transformed into a 0 mana 4/4. So you're paying a 4/4 to draw a 0 mana 4/4 that has a Death Rattle card. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Like the ability to tempo out a free 0 mana 4/4 basically on command. And not just a 0 mana 4/4, but a 0 mana 4/4 with a powerful Death Rattle effect. That is great. Like, even if you get like one of the big cards, like, yeah, you add a copy of it. So I think this is, honestly, it's a 6-star card. I think it's a great card. I think it's just incredible value for what you're going to get for it. I think the tempo, like, sometimes you just play this and tempo is so strong that people will not be able to deal with this. And I might be overrating this, but I really, really, really think this card is going to be well. Okay. Vile Apothecary. At the end of a turn, add a random concoction to your hand. Again, concoctions are good. 3 mana 2/4, draw a card. If this lives, you get to draw another card, and that card is super powerful. You can play the concoctions yourselves with this. So, if you have concoctions before, you can do that. If you protect it, it just lives. This, to me, is a great card. Like, I compare it in the middle between a Manatee Totem and a Piranha Poacher. And a Piranha Poacher was basically a 6-star card. So this is kind of, it's like almost a better Piranha Poacher in some ways. Well, actually, Piranha Poacher is probably better because the piranhas, they did the same thing. Like, the more piranhas you had, the better they were. So same thing here. More concoctions you have, the better this is. This is really, really good card. 5-star card here for the Vile Apothecary. Potentially could be better than the Illusionist if you've got enough other concoctions to match with this. All right. Next one here. Shadow of Demise. Okay, so Shadow of Demise here, it's basically you get like a copy of whatever spell you cast. In Constructed, I guarantee this is probably going to be nerfed at some point in time. Like, if I were to guess how it's going to be nerfed, it would be something along the lines of until the end of your turn. So you can't like bank it. Like, that's the only possible way to nerf this card. In Arena, it's an average card. It's a 2-star card. Like, you're not going to have stuff to play with this. It's just like an extra card. Finally here, we have got Potion Master Putricide. After a minion dies, add a concoction to your hand. So, turn 1, you coin out a 2-drop. Your opponent plays a 2-drop. Turn 2, you play this. You run your 2-drop into their 2-drop. A minion dies, both sides. You get 2 concoctions in your hand that combine into a, that combine into their own concoction. Turn 3, your opponent plays a minion. You play like a Dreadful Concoction plus something else. You destroy one of their minions. You get another concoction in your hand. So you can see how good, you can see how powerful this card could be. Like, you do need stuff on the board to do this. In late game, this becomes a lot better. So again, yeah, a really powerful card. I'm only going to go 4 stars on this just because it does require a little bit of setup. And that's kind of like the one thing that's holding it back. All right. Next class is Shaman. Shaman, I have no clue what Blizzard's trying to do with the Shaman. Like, they have a couple decent cards. Like, it's not like they don't have good cards, but it's like usually the cards have some kind of like unifying aspect to them. In here, they've really got nothing, and it's just kind of like a mediocre set. It's not like Death Knight levels of mediocre or bad, but it's just like, well, some are. Let's see here. All right, let's start here. Undying Champion. Sorry, Unliving Champion. If a friendly undead died after your last turn, summon 2/3/2 zombies. So if you get an undead off, this is really good. If you don't get an undead off, this is really bad. So where am I on this? I'm on the really bad side. Like, there's other cards where I rate the value, like the undead value a little bit higher. Here, it's the fact you absolutely need the undead value for this to work. So for this, I think it's a 2-star card. I just don't think, I don't think Shaman will necessarily have the undead value for this. All right, next one, Deathweaver Aura. Give a minion death rattle, summon 2/3/2 zombies, overload 1. So, different from Ancestral Spirit, this is a card you want to put on a small thing. So if you have a token, if you have like the 1/1 totem, if you have a totem plus a buff or something like that, or if you have like a taunt, you throw this on a taunt and you make the opponent question whether or not they want to go through the taunt with this. So all of those, really good situations. So where is that? That is, to me, it's going to be probably like around it's going to be a mid to high tier 3-star card. All right. Next one, Harkener of Dread. Harkener of Dread, 5 mana 2/2 taunt, death rattle, summon a 6/6 undead with taunt. So basically double taunt and you get 8 mana worth of value out of 5 mana. This is really good. There was a card in the previous, the Burning Blade Acolyte, which was a solid card by itself. That was a 1/1 that became a 5/8 taunt. So this, this will just freeze boards because opponents don't want to clear this because they give you the 2/2. So this also can function as kind of like a Frost Now if opponents just don't have an answer to it. So ultimately on this, I think it's going to be a solid 4-star card for Shaman. All right. Next one, Shadow Suffering. I've already expressed my dislike for this kind of mechanic. You need to have at least 3 things hit to justify having this mechanic there. Are you going to get that? I don't think so. I think it's a mediocre 2-star card. And I could be overrating this. This could be like a 1-star card. I could just I could just not care enough to justify myself making it a 1-star card. Prescience maybe? Draw 2 minions. For each that costs 5 or more, summon a 2/3 Spear with taunt. Shamans don't have big minions, so it's 4 mana, draw 2. If it does go off, that's great. Or is it going to go off? Very not likely. So it's worse than Arcane Intellect. It's still, I'm going to give it 2 stars. From the other side. Summon a copy of each minion in your hand. They attack random enemy minions, then die. This is supposed to work with the powerful death rattles that Shaman has, and they have a couple in here. Overall, you need 7 minions in hand to kind of justify this effect for a 10 mana effect, and then you probably don't even get to develop that much on the board. So ultimately, for a 10 mana spell, you need a lot more consistency. This is a card basically that's a never pick for me. I'm going to say it's a 0-star card. All right, Scourge Troll. Death rattle is given to this minion, trigger twice. There are a couple give death rattles, the 3, the idea is you play this, you play the one that summons the 2/3/2s, and then you summon 4/3/2s off of this. That's the idea. In Arena, it's basically, you're not going to get that. It's a 1/3. A 1/3 is a 2-star card. Okay, next one. Blightblood Berserker. 8 mana, 3/8, taunt, lifesteal, reborn. So a 3/8 taunt is 5 mana really worth of value. The lifesteal, the death rattle, so you can get maybe like 12 healing off of this, but it's so weak. That's the problem. A 3/8 that death rattles into a 3/1. It's just like at 8 mana, no. At 7 mana, I could see this working. At 8 mana, this is something like, no, I would not pick it. I think it's a 2-star card. I think it's like, you take it over some stuff, but I can't see taking this. See? All right. On to the legendaries. Rotgill. Give your other minions death rattle. Give your minions +1/+1. Other minions means it does not. Other minions means it doesn't trigger on this. So you need to hit probably 2 minions on this. Are you gonna do that? That's actually, I think, doable. If you get a giant board of it, if you get a giant board with this actually becomes great. Like even with totems, like the totems get +1/+1, and then they can trade off. They give everything else +1/+1. It's gonna make things a real pain to clear out. So I think there's enough cases where it's mediocre, but I think there's enough cases where it can just win you the game. So ultimately, 3-star card there. Okay, last one, Overlord Drakaru. 6/8 Wash Wind Fairy. After this attacks and kills a minion, resurrect it on your side. So you can use it. You can trade off, kill off 2 enemy minions, get them on your side, and you still have this. Like a lot of big stuff, like unless that's 8 attack, you can hit this twice. And so you kill that, and you summon something else on your side. That's a pretty big minion. I think there's a lot of good stuff you can do with this. So ultimately, why do I only have this? So ultimately, like, where am I on this card? I think you're probably going to hit something. Like, I think it's a 5-star card. I'm thinking about it right here. This could be a lot more powerful. Like, I initially rated it a 4-star card, but where do my cards go? Where do my cards go? How come I deleted everything there? All right. One second here. I accidentally deleted all my cards here, so Z. So, okay. Here, 5 stars. Okay. So it's like, this should be really good. I don't know how good it's going to be. It could be a little bit worse, could be a little bit better. This is when I'm, like, I know it's going to be good, but I don't know how good it's going to be. A little thing here. Overload 1, because the overload doesn't matter at that point in the game. All right. Next, we're going to go on to Warlock. So, what does Warlock have? Warlock, the class that has like all the death stuff. They should have great undead stuff, and they kind of do, but not really. What they really have, and what we've really been missing in Arena, is discard synergy. Which still sucks. Alright. Anyways, let's take a look at the Warlock. Let's take a look at their discard synergy. Let's see them try to do it again, and let's see how it will fail in Arena. Alright. First card here, Scourge Supplies. Draw 3 cards, choose 1 to discard. If you've got a discard card in here, obviously this is good. You discard the card you don't want, and you draw the other 2. But Warlock, they don't need the cards because they have the hero power, so it's a little bit worse than that. Ultimately, 2-star card. All right, next one, Walking Dead. This is your discard payoff. Yay! A 3-mana 2/5 taunt for 0 mana. Wow! Honestly, 3-mana 2/5 taunt, that's good. That's fine. Discard synergy to me is like mostly irrelevant. I would say that this is a solid 3-star card. That is your payoff. That is your payoff for the discard synergy. Okay. Next one. Infantry Reanimator. Resurrect a friendly undead. Give it reborn. So, the idea is that you play this on the Walking Dead. And the Walking Dead has a taunt. Or there's other cards you can play this on here. So, again, but the problem is you really need, for 6 mana, you really need to hit a 3 mana undead or more to justify this effect. And a lot of the undead is like cheap stuff or tokens. So I don't think you're necessarily going to hit that. I think it's a little bit too much RNG. I ultimately think that it's a 2-star card just because it's a little bit too it's a little bit too inconsistent in what it does. Savage Emerger. I honestly do not know how to say this. Rush, Battlecry, discover 2 cards. It's a Ymjar. Alright, anyway. So, it's a Doom Guard that doesn't go phase, but it has 2 extra attack. So, who dares summon him? So, like, this is decent. It's a 3-star card. Like, the idea is that you play this and you discard something like The Walking Dead to justify it. And then later you resurrect it. Now, there are other cards that synergize with this. Like, you can play this and play Infiltrator, resurrect this. Or there's another card in Epic that works real well with this if it comes from your hand. But ultimately, I think it's a 3-star card. It's just a little bit better than a Doom Guard, which itself a 3-star card. Alright, Soul Barrage. This is the other payoff for discard synergy. When you play or deal this, deal 6 damage randomly split across among all enemies. Yeah, I can kind of get it as a payoff. As a regular card, it's bad. It's not like unpickable bad, it's just pretty bad. So I think ultimately this one here, it's a 2-star card. Twisted Tether. Destroy a minion, give its stats to a random undead in your hand. So if you have undead, you play this, you destroy a big minion, and now you get to cheaply tempo out a giant undead with that stats. That's great. That's a 6-star card. That's a really, really, really solid card. It's a tempo swinger. It's a card that can just win you games. Like, your opponent could have a removal and stop it, which is why it's not higher. But again, ultimately, really good card, 6-star card for Shaman. Okay. Next one I've got here is Amorphous Slime. Discard a random undead, death rattle, summon a copy of it. So, same problem with the Convincing Infiltrator. You need to discard an undead that really costs like 3 mana or more to kind of justify this effect. Are you going to do that? Probably not. Now, the difference is you can actually kind of control this. You can get rid of all your cheap undead, then you can discard your 7/7, and then summon a copy of it. Or you can discard your Walking Dead, get your Walking Dead, then trade this off, get another Walking Dead out of it. So you can see where the combos work there. So I think ultimately, because of the combos, because you do have the control of it, it elevates itself right up to the level of being a 3-star card. Okay, next one, Shallow Grave. Trigger friendly minions, death rattle, then destroy it. It took me a while to figure out what was the point of this card. Like, there's a legendary it works with, but what's the other thing it would work with? And really, it's an egg activator. You play this, you play an egg, you play this, you get the egg effect, you kill the egg, you get the second egg effect. That's it. Or, like, again, I'm just going to say, I mean, when your value is an egg activator, that's a... Why are you 15? I changed you to 0. I changed you to 5. That's a 0-star card. Like, you don't pick this card to activate eggs. And then finally, we got Devourer of Souls. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Here. First off, here. After a friendly minion dies, gain its death rattle. So basically, the idea is like Warlock, and then you have this, which you can trigger. Like, you can play Warlock, this will get all the Warlock things, and you can nuke the Warlock with this. In Arena, what is it? It's a 1/3. A 1/3, that's pretty mediocre. That's a 2-star card. I mean, there are things you can do with it, but I'm not really going to give that any real value. Finally, what have we got here? We have got Darkhan Drathir. 8 mana, 6/6, lifesteal. At the end of your turn, deal 6 damage to the enemy hero. So 8 mana, 6/6. You deal 6 damage to the enemy hero. The lifesteal means that heals you for 6. And if this lives, you get to keep going. Okay, I think this is a really good effect. I think this is a 4-star card. The only thing holding it off is that it's a 6/6. So, like, but your opponent is going to have to kill it, so you're going to heal a lot, and that is really good for Warlock. And there is a lot of times where that 6 damage, that little bit of extra reach, is what wins you the game. So, like, in some decks, like, if you can protect this, this is obviously insane. This will just end the game at the point. For some decks, I think ultimately its value, though, is a 4-star card. And then finally, last class. Last class is Warrior. So Warrior just got like a bunch of stuff that just kind of, it's weird. That's basically the best way to describe it. It's a bunch of stuff it's like synergies that kind of don't work with each other, and synergies that are like really specific, and like just weird stuff that Warrior does. I mean, decent cards. I'm not going to say that the cards are bad. Decent cards, just weird cards. All right, so we'll start off. First example here, Sun Fury Stalwart. 6 mana, 4/8 Taunt Rush, can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So it's a fairly standard taunt for 6 mana plus Rush. I mean, that's not bad. That's a 3-star to a 4-star card. I'll say 4 stars, like very low 4-star on this. Again, not much that needs to be said. Like, is this better than a Rusty Raider? A little bit, not that much. All right. Next one here, Blazing Power. Warriors get buffs. Give a minion +1/+1, repeat for each friendly character. If your hero is damaged, that's 2. If another minion is damaged, that's 3. Big problem here. You don't want to, usually when you damage things or you trade to get damage, you're doing it like when it's on your turn, so you do not get the initiative on it. And that's my big problem with it. So that's why ultimately I think it's a little bit too inconsistent. There are things you can do with this. There are ways to activate it. But ultimately I would just say that it is a 3-star card. Next one, Light of the Phoenix. Over here. Okay, draw 2 cards, cost 1 less for each damaged friendly character. Your hero is probably going to be damaged, so bare minimum it's going to be an Arcane Intellect. If you compare this to Battle Range, at 4 mana draw 2 cards versus 0 mana, 2 mana draw 0. Light of the Phoenix wins. 3 mana draw 2 cards versus 2 mana draw 1 card. Light of the Phoenix wins. 2 mana draw 2 versus 2 mana draw 2. They're even. 1 mana draw 2 versus 3 mana, 2 mana draw 3. I honestly think that's a win for Light of the Phoenix. And then you really need to draw 4 cards for Battle Rage to be better than this. And usually Battle Rage you're not going to be drawing 4 cards. So ultimately I think this is a better Battle Rage. And that would map out to be basically a middle tier 3-star card. Okay, next one, Embers of Strength. Summon 2/1/2 Taunts of Guard, that's fine on curve. Battlecry 6, given +1/+2, so 2 mana, summon 2/2/4. I mean, that's okay. Like, this is probably like one of the weaker Mana Thirst cards that's just like a very low 3-star card. Sunfire Smithing. Equip a 4/2 sword, give a random minion in your hand +4/+2. So 4/2 weapon, that's good. The buff, hand buff, is like insane. There's stuff you can do with it. You throw it on the Giant Taunt, and now that Giant Taunt becomes a great card. So overall, what is this? Really, really, really good card. It's a 6-star card very easily. Like, it's a 6-star card because of power. It's a 6-star card because of annoyance, but this isn't like a 6-star card where you're going to rip your hair out like compared to Paladin. All right, Last Stand. 4 mana, draw a taunt minion, double his stats. I kind of want to, like, I turned off the Y video, but I want to replay the Y video here, which is like, this is a card from 3 or 4 years ago. Why is this card here? Why does Paladin get so much broken shit, and why does Warrior get this complete fucking garbage? I mean, This is the reason why I hate the Paladin stuff. It's just like, why does Paladin need so much broken shit, and why does Warrior get complete fucking garbage? Now, stuff that would have been complete fucking garbage like 4 years ago. Not to mention today. 1-star card, like, just because it is draw, maybe your opponent can't deal with it. They're probably going to deal with it. You're probably going to pay a lot of mana to do jack shit. Alright. Disruptive Spellbreaker. Okay. So, in Constructed, this is insane. In Arena, if you can protect this is insane. Because you get to, like, just destroy your opponent's spells. They can't cast the spells unless they draw it from their hand or they generated the spells immediately. So, this card, like, to me, it's an easy 4-star card. I think it's just a great card to have. You're going to immediately get your value back if they have spells in your hand. If they don't have spells, that's still fine. It's really, like, it's still fine if you don't have spells. That's, like, a great thing to know. Okay, next one, Sun Fury Champion. Cards that don't make any sense. So, after you cast a fire spell, deal 1 damage to all minions. Cards. Wild. Warrior. Spell School. Fire. Show data. Forged into Flame, Molten Breath. Fires is in the Shari, Ironforge Portal, Smithing, Phoenix, Embers of Strength, Blazing Power. So basically, nothing here that's worth it. So your fire spells are going to be spells here. So let's take a look. What does it work with? Both Blazing Power and Light of the Phoenix, both Blazing Power and Light of the Phoenix want you to have stuff that is already damaged in order for this effect to go off. Like this, it needs to be damaged already because you, like, let's say your stuff is at 1 health. You play this, you just blow up all your stuff, and then you don't even get to use it. So, like, the one kind of card it works with is Embers of Strength. And again, you have the taunts on the board, so it's after you cast the fire spell. So you play that, you play Embers of Strength, you summon your taunts, and then you know what you happen? You blow up your taunts, you give your taunts damage. And then you know what you do after that? You play your cards over here, and they're all damaged, and you get to do that. So it's like, I don't get what Blizzard was thinking with this card, other than that just Risky Skipper was too powerful, so they're scared. So it's another 2-star card. It's a dumb combo shit 2-star card. All right. Next one. We got the legendaries left. Azvedon, the Great Shield. Cast a copy of the last spell your opponent played. So you wait for your opponent to play something stupid. You copy that. That's good. So what is this? This is good. This is, I think, a 4-star card. Because your opponent's probably going to play strong stuff. So this is a 3/3 that plays strong stuff too. I mean, that's just really good. Not much needs to be said. And last card of the set. Thori Belor. 4 mana, 4/4 rush. Death Rattle, go dormant. Cast a fire spell to revive Thori Belor. We've seen all the fire spells. They're good. How many are you going to have in your deck? I'm not sure. I don't know why this has kind of like a limit on how many times it can resurrect. So I can't say it's going to get the synergy. I just have to judge it based on its base form, and that's a low 3-star card. All right, that's it. I'm done with the set. I'm done with the reviews. As always, any comments, any questions, any disagreements, anything you want to comment on, leave it in the comments. I will address you. Thank you guys. Please get lucky and don't avoid paladins. Play Death Knights. Have fun when you're not playing paladins. I will see you guys in March of the Lich King. Take care, everybody.